After more than 10 ankle sprains over 5 years, this is a routine I use to fix my poor ankle dorsiflexion. What's going on, guys? It's Vaughan here from Body Elements. Now today I'm going to go through ankle dorsiflexion. Ankle dorsiflexion is the degree at which you can bend between the top of your foot and the front of your shin. Good ankle dorsiflexion is imperative for deeper squats. It's also really important for walking and running. Now there's a couple things that can reduce your ankle dorsiflexion. The most typical one is when people wear heel raise shoes all the time. Now if you're wearing heel raise shoes during exercise and during your daily life, your body requires less dorsiflexion to get through those activities, meaning that over time, your ankle dorsiflexion is just going to reduce. Another factor that can cause poor ankle dorsiflexion is ankle injuries. If you have a history of repetitive ankle sprains or you've broken your ankle before and you didn't rehab your ankle properly, your ankle dorsiflexion could have been reduced that way. First, I'm going to run you through a test to see if you have a base level of ankle dorsiflexion. It's called the 5-inch wall test. Let's head outside and I'll show you what you need to do. With the 5-inch wall test, what you want to do is create a fist and have your thumb sticking out. Now you want to touch the wall with your thumb, with your fist on the ground, and place your toes at the end of where your fist is. Once your toes are at the end of where your fist is, you want to drive your knee towards the wall. Now if you can touch the wall with your knee, we would say you have good ankle dorsiflexion. But if your knee stops about halfway, or your heel lifts off the ground to get to the wall, we would say you have bad ankle dorsiflexion, and I would recommend you try some of these exercises. Just make sure when you're trying to touch the wall with your knee doesn't cave in, your hip doesn't tilt out. You let your knee track over the outside of your toes, and your hip stays square with your knee. Also, make sure you keep the arch of your foot engaged. But if your knee doesn't cave in, your arch of your foot should stay engaged. Now the first exercise, and the one I actually think is the most important, is called the Fisherman's ankle stretch. Now the Fisherman's ankle stretch is very similar to the 5-inch wall test. All you're doing is having your knee track over the mid to end toes, arch engaged in your foot, and you're just pushing your knee to its end range. When you're at the end range, I want you to push your forefoot into the ground. This will create some strength through the end range of your ankle. Now, this is the most basic level of this exercise with no equipment. It's very handy if you have the equipment because it's going to make this exercise a lot better. So the first upgrade of this exercise is you can add weight. You're doing the exact same thing, just now you've got weight on top. So your mobility is going to increase a lot faster if you're using a weight. And then the next variation of this exercise, and this is actually the thing that got me out of my really bad ankle, that from about 10 to 15 ankle sprains over a few years, is what we call a band of distraction. So with the band of distraction, what you're doing is you're placing a resistance band just below the ankle bone, just over the top of the foot. It's on what is called the talus bone. Now the talus bone can get jacked up and stop gliding properly when you injure your ankle with an ankle sprain or like a broken ankle. So putting this band over will stop any blocking sensation you feel when you try and go into your end range here. You don't want to have the band too high because it's not really doing anything there. You want to have it over the top of that foot. You don't want the band too thick as well. You want it to be about 1 inch thick. And you can place it over the top of that foot and it'll really increase how much you can flex that ankle. If you're still feeling a blocking sensation here, I want you to pull this band a little bit tighter and that should stop any of that blocking. And then again, with this one, we're going to add a weight on top, got the band of distraction. This is really when this exercise starts to make a difference. And now you're doing this one for 12 to 15 reps. For 2 to 3 sets. Obviously the more sets you do, the more effective this exercise is going to be. But it's up to you how much time you want to spend on it. A really good way to incorporate this stretch into your regular training, something I do every one of my leg sessions, is called the ATG Split Squat, or the arse to grass split squat. Now with this exercise, you just want to take a big step forward to where you're comfortably in a split position. You want to tense your rear glute, engage your core, and all you're doing is essentially the same exercise and pushing your ankle to that end range. Now using a platform, the higher the platform is, the easier this exercise is going to be. And you're not only stretching your ankle here, but you're also stretching your hip flexor. So it's a multidisciplinary exercise. And the reason it's good to incorporate into regular training is you can add weight, and this really then becomes a good strength exercise, as well as improving your mobility. So the next exercise is just a deficit calf raise. In this exercise, all you're doing is placing your forefoot to midfoot on the edge of a raised platform. You've got your stabilizing foot on the other side, and you're just going down and up through a regular calf raise. Try to have as little weight through that stabilizing foot as possible, and make sure the knee isn't caving in. If you're really good at this one, what you can do is take the foot away and just do your calf raises like that. This will put a bit of length and strength through your calf, which will help you with the ankle dorsiflexion. You're going to want to do this one for about 12 to 15 reps per leg for about 2 or 3 sets. The next exercise I want you to do is called the Tibialis Raise. So the tibialis anterior is the muscle on the outside of the shin that's responsible for pulling your foot into ankle dorsiflexion. Now with this exercise, I want you to put your back up against the wall, take a step out. The further you step out, the harder this exercise is going to be. And once you've stepped out, all I want you to do is keep your legs straight by engaging your quads and pull your feet up. Simple as that. Now I want you to do this exercise for about 25 reps and for 1 to 2 sets. By 25 reps, you should start to feel a bit of a pump through those tibs. And once you get a bit better, you can start to stand out a bit further. For this exercise, we're going to do a little bit of soft tissue work. This one's called the bone saw calf smash. So you're working all these muscles from your soleus to your gastrocnemius and everything in between. Now you can do this without a raised platform, or for a bit more effectiveness, you can add something underneath and apply a bit more pressure. All you're doing is placing your shin bone over your target leg and sitting back on it, stopping on tight spots and breathing. To get a bit deeper in it, what you can do is contract that muscle and then relax it, and the shin bone should get in there a little bit deeper. Now this one's going to be a bit tender, but I want you to do it for about 2 minutes each leg, just to really loosen those muscles up. Alternatively, and personally my favourite way of doing it, is having a friend walk on those muscles I was just talking about. Go ahead. They're using the arches of their foot to do exactly what I was just talking about before, restoring those sliding surfaces, stopping on sore spots. Now if you have someone else doing it to you, they can obviously apply a bit more pressure than you're probably going to apply to yourself. And this is why I find this a bit more effective than doing it to yourself. Once you've done all those exercises for at least 1 round, or if you've done the recommended sets, I want you to do the 5-inch wall test again and see if your ankle mobility has improved any. If it has, that's awesome. I want you to continue doing this until you can stay. When you're cold doing that test, get your knee to the wall. If your ankle mobility didn't improve after those exercises, I want you to try this one. Now this is quite a niche option because not many people have what's called a Voodoo floss band at home. If you don't have one of these at home, a home brand version of it is just cutting down the middle of a bike tube, an old bike tube, and you can use that. Now what I want you to do here is you're wrapping
the floss band above and below the target area at about 50% tension. And you're wrapping it at about half the width of the floss band. So you're going at about 50% tension here. Once you get to the target area, I want you to wrap it at about 75% tension. So you're doing a bit tighter around here. What these floss bands do is, if you've had an ankle injury and you've got a lot of scar tissue in there and matted down tissues, it restores the sliding surfaces of those tissues, in turn increasing your range. So once you've pretty much wrapped the whole band around, you just want to tuck it in there. Oh, I've just broken it. You just want to tuck it in there. Once it's wrapped around your ankle, for the next 2 to 3 minutes, I just want you to move your ankle through its end range in every possible position. So what you're doing here is you want to do maybe like an ankle plantar flexion, the dorsiflexion, do some revolutions, back the other way. And I want you to do this for about 2 minutes. Alternatively, you can start to do some of the exercise that we were doing before. So you can do calf raise, that's still pushing it through its end range. Or you can do the Fisherman's ankle stretch. But whatever you do, just do it for 2 to 3 minutes. Once you've done that, take the band off and do the 5-inch test again. You don't want to, these bands can get quite tight, so you don't want to keep them on too long, restricting blood flow in your foot. But hopefully, that extra little trick helps with your stubborn ankles. To put this routine to the test, I had my partner perform the first 4 exercises for 2 rounds. As you can see, her 5-inch wall test has improved just after 1 session. Imagine what would be possible if this was done consistently. So that's my complete guide to fixing ankle dorsiflexion. I hope this helped you guys out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.